Benvenuto. Welcome to Cherry Hill Home Cooking. My name is Mark. Today we're going to make turkey gravy. Thanksgiving is right around the corner, so I made a big batch of turkey stock, and I'm going to use some of that to make gravy, freeze it, so I'll have it on hand. I won't have to worry about it. Be one less thing I have to have everything come together at the same time for dinner on Thanksgiving. Also, I made a big batch of it, so I'm going to have plenty of that ready for when I want to make turkey soup. Okay, now, keep in mind, this is turkey gravy, but this is basically the same steps, same measurements that you're going to use for any kind of gravy that you want to make, whether it be chicken, beef. You can even do a vegetable gravy. If you want to keep it completely vegetarian, just use vegetable oil as your fat and use vegetable stock. But anyway, so what we're going to need for our turkey gravy is we're going to need some turkey stock. As I said, I've got my homemade stock here. I'd encourage you to make a big batch of it yourself so you'll have it on hand and throw it in the freezer. Now, the written directions for the recipe are going to be for 5 cups of stock. I'm going to make 10 cups so that I have 10 cups to freeze. Okay, so I want to mention one thing before we go on to the rest of the ingredients. When you're making a roux, it's always half fat, half all-purpose flour. So, but the rule of thumb you want to keep in mind is it's 2 tablespoons of fat and 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour per 1 cup of liquid. So no matter how many cups of liquid or how many cups of gravy you want to make, always use that ratio. 2 tablespoons of flour, 2 tablespoons of fat to 1 cup of liquid. Okay, so we got covered our turkey stock. We're going to need some fat. I'm going to use butter today. Now that looks like a lot of butter, but remember guys, this is going to be for 10 cups of stock. Okay, we need some all-purpose flour. All right, of course we need some salt and pepper. I'm going to use some poultry seasoning, which just kind of makes it, Thanksgiving gravy. My mother always used poultry seasoning, so I do. And I use a little bit of celery salt. So actually, in the recipe, if you don't want to use celery salt, I would use 1 teaspoon of salt. In this 4 or 5 cups, I use 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of celery salt. Now, and again, that might sound like a lot, but remember, in my own homemade turkey stock, there's no salt whatsoever. But keep in mind, if you're going to be using a store-bought or pre-prepared turkey stock, you might want to keep that in mind and maybe not put any salt in till the very end so you can taste it. All right, let's make some gravy. Okay guys, so a gravy always starts out with a roux. And again, a roux is equal parts flour and fat. All right, so I've got our butter all nice and melted. I'm on about a medium-low heat. Okay, so I've got our butter melted. And really, the only trick to this is whisking in your butter and flour, all right? So we'll take our flour, and we can even go, you could dump it all in, but go little by little and start to incorporate it. It's one of those things you want to keep it moving. That's going to make sure that you don't get any lumps. And you know what? If you do get some lumps, it's not the worst thing in the world. You can always strain it before you serve it or before you freeze it. I'm going to freeze it, as I said, in this case. So then it'll be ready. You always want to keep your fat and flour in motion. Oop, that went in there all at once, so I'm going to put it in. All right, you can, of course, so the purpose of the roux is to thicken your gravy. Now, the other thing with the roux is the longer you cook it, now I can start to, we've been on here maybe a minute and a half, and I can start to smell the flour a little bit. So that's the flour cooking in the fat. And you want to be able to do that. It almost should smell like, I don't know, maybe like something baking, a cake, when you can first start to smell it baking. But anyway, so the other thing with the roux is, depending upon how dark you want it to be or how dark you want your gravy to be. Now, so I'm going pretty good there, so I've turned it down to maybe low at this point. And really, believe it or not, that is done. Look at that. There's not one lump in there. See, you could do it. It's so easy. There's not one lump in there. Now, depending upon how dark you want your gravy to be, it depends upon how long you cook the roux. You can see it's turning kind of like a light chestnut, light almond color. I'm going to let it cook just a couple more minutes. I like turkey gravy to be a little bit darker than chicken gravy. But look at that again. There's not one lump in there. That's perfect. So the longer you cook it, you let it get as dark as you like. If you like it dark, cook it a little bit longer. If you like it on the lighter side, the trick is you just want to make sure your flour is cooked. So you're probably going to need a good 3-4 minutes before you want to start to add your liquid into it. If you want it darker, like I said, you just go a little bit longer. It's probably right now has got the consistency of, I'd say, a pudding, a thick pudding. Our gravy, I should say our stock is going to give it a little bit of color. And again, remember our stock is only flavored with some veggies and bay leaf and some peppercorns. But of course, those are all strained out. But it leaves behind the flavor that you want. There's no salt in my stock at all. All right, that's just about where I like it color-wise. It looks like turkey gravy, I think. Okay, so we're going to slowly start to incorporate our liquid. Again, keeping it stirring at all times. And you can see now it's getting really thick. It's like a paste, but of course the more liquid we add, it's going to thin out. And again, you got to keep it stirring because you don't want any lumps. Add all that in there, and you can see we've thickened up considerably. Now, again, that if at this point I was just going to make 5 cups, I'd be done. But I'm going to make 10 cups. So I think at this point it's we can add our poultry seasoning and our pepper. So I'm sorry, our poultry seasoning and our celery salt. There's our salt and pepper. And like I said, this is going to make just about 10 cups of gravy for me. So I'm going to start to add in my other 5 cups. And again, I need to keep repeating myself. The trick to this is keep stirring it. I mean, even if you just if you decide to make gravy on Thanksgiving Day or Christmas Day or New Year's Day, whatever day you enjoy turkey, same exact way to do it if you're making it that day. Look at that, not one lump. Now, some people don't necessarily like to see the little specks of pepper. I like to see them. You could use white pepper, which would bring down some of the look of the seasoning in your gravy, but I want everybody to know I made this by hand. Now, almost all of our liquid is in, and you can see we're getting a little bit more thin and consistent, but not one lump. I'm going to turn my heat source up a little bit, probably back to medium. And I'm going to put this all in there. Now it's going to start to look a little thin at this point, but we're going to let this reduce down a little bit. Again, with reducing, when you put your stock in there, by reducing a little bit of the liquid in there, it's going to thicken your gravy a little bit more. Plus, it's going to intensify the flavor of your delicious homemade turkey stock. At this point, we are totally lump-free. We can maybe stop watching it so closely till it starts to come to a simmer. And then at this point, you're going to let it simmer until it's the desired consistency. It's your gravy. You can have it any way you like. If you like it really thick, let it reduce more. If you like it a little on the thinner side, so you decide how you like it. Then when the gravy's done, I'm simply going to put this back into 2 6-cup airtight containers, seal them up really nice, let them probably cool to room temperature for at least a half hour or so, and throw them in the freezer. All right, we'll be back in a minute or two, and I'll show you the consistency I like the gravy. Okay, my gravy is perfect, or at least perfect, the consistency that I like it. All right, so I'm going to shut my heat source off. Kind of hard to tell just on that, but I would say that when you put a spoon in, all right, see, it should coat the back of the spoon and separate. Of course, what is the most important thing you always have to do? You have to taste it. Give it a little taste. Delicious. It tastes like Thanksgiving. Now, as I said, I'm going to transfer this into some deli containers. I'm going to bring it to room temperature. Then I'm going to freeze it. This should hold in the freezer perfectly well for a couple months. You know, stretch it to maybe 3. It's the beginning of October, so this will be perfect for when I'm going to take it out of the freezer for Thanksgiving. Then what I'll do on Thanksgiving Day is, after I take my turkey out, of course I've had my gravy slowly heating up on low in a pan, in a heavy bottom pan. I'll remove all the grease from the bottom of the roasting pan. Put a little bit of, maybe a little bit of white wine or a little bit more turkey stock, or even a little bit water, and just kind of scrape up the bits, and then put those little turkey drippings into my turkey and my gravy, and you're going to think, oh my God, my gravy's done. Well, I hope you've enjoyed watching me make this gravy today. More importantly, I hope you make it, and we'll see you in a little while when we give it a taste. Okay guys, supper's ready. We're going to do our tasting today of our sauteed asparagus and my homemade turkey gravy together as our meal today. As you can see, we've got our turkey, we got some cornbread stuffing, which no, I did not make by myself, but I do make my own cornbread stuffing on Thanksgiving. We've got our sauteed asparagus, and we got one of Wade's favorite things, jellied ocean spray cranberry sauce. All right, let's dig in, but we taste my gravy first.
Already tasted it, so I
already
know it's good.
Truth be told, this is not turkey. It's roasted chicken.
The gravy's delicious.
It really is. Making your own gravy is so easy. And it doesn't compare. Turkey from a jar is gravy from a jar is good. As I said, for a long time I was always afraid to make my own gravy. How's our asparagus? Delicious. What do you think?
It's good. Delicious.
Well, we're going to enjoy our meal. Wish you guys were all here eating it with us, but since you're not, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed watching us as much as we've enjoyed making this video for you. Please go make some turkey stock and make your own homemade gravy.
Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe, please, and like us. And check out cherryhillhomecooking.com.
Ciao.
Bye. Thank you.